Here. First of all, I'd like to welcome all of you and congratulate all of you. We don't often take time to actually understand how our mind works, understand how that leads to our happiness or dissatisfaction. What happens? How is it that our mind works, right? Most of the time, we experience certain situations, we experience certain realities, and we create some opinions of them. We have certain feelings or emotions related to them: happiness, sadness, anger, frustration, excitement, joy, right? And what we're going to do over the next few days is to use specific techniques to train our mind to understand how things are actually happening in our experience. How are things happening around us? How do we engage with them? How we make sense of them? And how it can actually help us to keep our mind in wholesome and happy states, right? So that's what we're going to be doing. So quickly, since I would request all of you to just turn on your videos so I can see your faces. And I'll also use the opportunity to remind everyone that this is a smiling meditation. This is not a practice that is very serious, in the sense that what we are going to be learning is going to be very profound, very meaningful, and very impactful in changing our experience of life. But we are not going to go about it as if it is a big load on us or big burden on us. We're going to have fun. We're going to have adopt what is often called a video game attitude. We're going to approach this with the objective of having fun. If something goes wrong, we learn from it and we come back to it. Have fun so that our learning is maximized. Okay. So I'll just quickly, before we start, you must have all received a prep kit, and while signing up, you must have had a very brief introduction about myself, about the practice that we'll be going through during this retreat. So I want to just touch upon all that. If you've not had a chance to read the prep kit, I would request that you do so by tomorrow. It will be helpful for you to get the most out of this time that you're investing, right? Okay, first, quickly about myself. I'm Rajiv. I've trained as a computer scientist. I've worked for almost 20 years now in different product technology and data science positions in different companies in India. I've set up my own companies. I've worked in startups. I've worked with large tech-based companies as well in the past. And the reason I'm here today is a few years back, I very accidentally ended up signing up for an online retreat, just as you have. I ended up signing up with a monk in the US, and I had no idea about Buddhism. I had no idea about meditation. I just said, okay, let's. Someone close to me had recommended it. I thought, let me go and give it a go. And the experiences that I had, I really felt like I was getting education for the first time. Right. So the kind of things, our moods, our emotions really dictate a very large part of our lives. The way we behave with others, the way we sit, whether we are worrying, whether we are feeling good, whether we are able to apply ourselves to something that we want to do. These things make a huge difference in our lives. But we always tend to trivialize it by saying, okay, this is not, my mood is not okay, or I'm fine, or saying I don't feel like it, or I feel like doing this and this only. These things happen, but we don't really understand how to interpret all this, right? And our education is always about dealing with the external world, making sense of the external world. We learn right off the bat, 2 + 2 apples is 4 apples. We learn everything, right? From very complex physics. We learn how to, people who've done MBAs, for example, learn how to manage large organizations. People have worked in organizations, learn how to do their job so that they can, keep that organization moving forward. We are incredible creatures. We learn so many different things. In this group itself, I'm sure there are people who have different types of skills with music, art, with numbers, with physics, with science, with people, with physical fitness, a lot of different capabilities, right? And we've never once been taught properly, how our mind works, how do different things lead us to certain states of mind, and we are expected to learn it, and we are expected to find a way to deal with it, right? And this is a kind of fundamental missing part in our education, and that's what I felt when I did this. When I learned this technique for the first time, I felt like my entire life had changed. Things that I never knew, came to me, and I could see it in my own experience. I didn't have to listen to someone and believe them, or just say, "Okay, you're right because I respect you." Right? I could see in my own experience what was happening, and I could learn a lot from it, and I could see the benefits that it brought into my life. So I spent a lot of time trying to understand what exactly happened. How is it that something that has been around for so many years isn't really taught to us? And when it is taught in the right way, it can actually make such a big difference. And why is it not taught to us? Right? So I spent a lot of time understanding what the mechanisms were, understanding how they worked, understanding how they can bring about a change in people's life, right? And I have been teaching for the last 4 years. I really felt confident in it. So I come from a background of engineering, computer science. So my mind works in a certain way. I was very skeptical about things. I couldn't believe the things that had changed in my life, and I really wanted to understand what is the basis of this. And only when I felt confident, I also felt that this is something that should help everybody. Everybody who has a mind, who has experiences, who experiences joy, suffering, frustration, excitement, anything in life, right? So they need to understand this. So I've been teaching this for the last 4 years, taught a few hundred people from across the world, and have been. It's been very delightful to see what their experience has been. So I can promise you one thing from my experience of doing this, that you will definitely get to learn something valuable by the end of this week. And yeah, and just keep your mind open, have fun with the process, okay, and try to see what's happening in your own experience rather than believe anything I say. Believe it enough to try it out, but after that, whatever you really want to keep with yourself, see that it happens in your experience. A quick word on the Genesis. So I don't know how many of you have tried meditation before. If you could just raise your hands if you have any experience with meditation. Okay, great. Uh, okay, so what we are going to be practicing right now is from the derived from the teachings of the Buddha. The Buddha basically taught one thing and one thing only. In his own words, he said, "I teach only the end of suffering. I teach the understanding of suffering and the ability to bring an end to it." So for him, it was very clear. This is what I teach. And he gave different techniques. So he gave the four noble truths. He said, there is a truth of suffering, there is an origin of suffering, and there is a cessation of suffering. We'll get more into all these details. In this course, we'll also be understanding the different aspects of mental mechanisms, how they work, and how they can lead to different mind states. Okay. And finally, he said, I'll give you a technique, a path that you can lead to be able to rid yourself of dissatisfaction in life, right? So that's what he gave. And clearly, it influenced a lot of people in his lifetime that it became such a large movement, a large institution, uh, and it has carried on till today. What did happen though was perhaps the efficacy with which this technique worked got lost over time. It got diluted over time. uh, it started taking people a lot longer to achieve significant change in their lives or to be able to understand what's happening. And then, very luckily, my teacher Bhante Vimalaramsi, he's an American monk. He spent a couple of decades in Asia learning all the techniques, latest techniques that had been created in the Vipassana movement. He applied them all to his life. He found that he felt definitely there is something more because he had reached a lot of the highest levels of that teaching. And with that question in his mind, is there something else? Can there be more of a change in my life? He went back to the earliest texts of the Buddhas. He spent a lot of time with that, tried to see what were the missing pieces, what was maybe lost in translation over the years, refined it in a way that made a profound difference in himself. And then he refined it by teaching it to a lot of people, refining the technique continuously so people can actually apply this technique very quickly and gain both understanding as well as the habits and skills required to experience more joy in their life. I happened very accidentally to cross paths with him, like I said, on an online retreat, and I'm trying to kind of just share it forward. The idea is just simply you see a movie that is extremely good, you eat something that is extremely good, you want to go and tell your friends, hey, this is something, this was absolutely fantastic. It would be criminal of me not to, share this information with you. So for me, that is the motivation, right? I've had so much uh, happiness come into my life through this, and it becomes very natural to share it forward. And I'm very confident that you will find this happening in your life as well. Okay. So today is just a quick introduction to me, Rajiv. I'll be your guide through the retreat. The way this specific meditation technique has been structured is that there is a very structured, uh, way to progress, right? And every day, what we'll be doing is we'll be doing live check-ins. When we do our check-ins, I'll be asking you a few questions. Some of it is mentioned in the prep kit. We'll cover this more tomorrow. Starting Saturday, we'll start doing live check-ins, and when we do the check-ins, I'll have a very good idea of where your practice is, what may be potentially coming in your way, and what you can change to actually make more progress and see more things for yourself. So this is a very important part of the retreat. We'll share a Calendly link where you can select some slots to book interview times with me, check-in times with me. And during those times, so it'll be 10 to 15 minutes that we'll spend, and we will just reflect on what's happening in your practice, what you're experiencing, and what we can do to fine tune. So that's the way we will go about it. We will also from Saturday start having a morning routine. So morning routine, there is a morning routine that's shared in the prep kit. We'll also share a separate document that just summarizes the morning routine. In the morning, we basically pay respect to the teacher, the teaching, and the preservers of the teaching, right? So we are spending some time, investing some time, trying to understand something, and paying respect to that teaching just makes sure that mind is open and accepting of what is coming, right? And it's more receptive to what is coming. We do that. We take something called the precepts. The precepts are essentially like an umbrella for you. It is just something. It is uh, just something that helps you uh, avoid certain behaviors that will create turbulence, that will create noise in your mind, and will affect your ability to go deeper and see more. Okay, so these are not sins, these are not moral judgments, these are just some best practices, right? So taking the precepts, saying, staying away from harsh speech, lies, gossip, slander, not taking what is not given. So things like this create a lot of noise, a lot of irritation, agitation in our mind, and that will affect our ability to go deeper and actually see the processes of our mind better. Okay, so that is the other thing I just wanted to quickly touch on morning routine. Tomorrow is a day for just trying out the practice, getting a sense of what is happening. So it will be a bit like riding a bike. Initially, it will seem daunting, right? Initially, it'll be like I have to manage the pedals and the handles and the brake. There's so many things to do. Might feel a bit like that. Just spend some time. Your intuition will kick in. You will start feeling that it is. You start getting more and more confidence, and the weekend is a great time, so we can just use the time of the weekend to start spend a little more time with the practice, and you will start seeing a lot of progress from that. Okay, great. So let me take a few minutes and we'll just try out the starting practice. So the way we do it, we don't do guided meditation. The instructions are there, you spend time doing the practice, right? The idea, what happens with guided meditation is because there is a voice always there. So you tend to be following the voice, paying attention to the voice rather than actually observing what's happening in your mind. We'll start with it right now, today being the first day, just to for you to get a little hang of what the practice is. Okay. So we'll just first do one quick activity together. Okay. And then I'll explain what we are doing and why we are. Okay, start with remembering a time that you were happy. So we all know what it means to feel happy, right? You might have felt happy with friends, with family. You might have children, playing with little children, babies can often be a very happy experience. You may have pets, playing with the pets, or you may have happy memories related to that. You may have gone on a vacation. You may have been with your parents. You may have been with your grandparents, for instance. So some memory, couple of memories you can use. Something when you felt really happy, content, calm, you had no complaints with the world, right? So we'll take a memory like that, maybe one or two memories, bring up and try to remember the way we felt. We would have had a warm feeling in our mind, our body, in our chest, right? So we bring up that feeling, place that warm feeling in our heart or chest, right? And wish that feeling for ourselves. So we want to wish for ourselves that we should be happy like we were in that moment. Okay. So we'll start with this. I would request everyone to put a smile on your face, and you will get all this. You don't need to take too many notes right now. The beginning practice will be sharing how to go about it, right? So you can read it, you can revise it, refer to it if there is any confusion. So let's start. I want all of you to close your eyes, bring a smile to your face, let out a deep breath, just relax. Bring up a happy memory, a time when you were really content, satisfied, joyful, without any worry in the world. Now take the feeling that you felt at that time, place it in the center of your heart, and wish for yourself. May I be happy. May I be calm. May I be full of joy. May I be at peace. May I be happy. May I be calm. May I be full of joy. May I be at peace. Open your eyes gently. Okay. So it's as simple as that. We'll start with that, bring up that warm feeling, and wish it for ourselves. When we sit, just take a posture that is, use a chair, use your bed, use the floor, whatever is comfortable to you. We don't want our body to be a source of distraction. Okay. We want to sit comfortably with our back straight. Otherwise, we'll fall asleep in some time. With our back straight, bring up that happy memory. Keep that smile on your face with your eyes closed. wish that for yourself. May I be happy. Use your own words. You don't have to speak these out aloud in your mind just to support that feeling. May I be happy. May I be calm. May I be peaceful. Okay. We start developing this feeling. So you bring up the memory in the beginning. If that feeling dries out at any point of time, you bring up the memory again to bring up that feeling and you wish that feeling to yourself. So you're giving yourself permission to be happy for some time. When we start the practice for the first 10 minutes, this is what we do. In the next 20 minutes, what we'll do is we'll send this same feeling to a friend. So we have to choose a friend and few rules to choose a friend. Choose somebody who's not part of your family. Choose a friend, somebody that you naturally feel good about. Their, thought of their name brings a smile to your face. You know that you have goodwill towards them, you have respect towards them, and they have goodwill towards you and respect towards you. Choose a friend like that. If you have a hard time finding someone like that, choose someone that you really respect, that you have goodwill towards. Okay. Not part of the family, should not be unwell, right? So choose somebody who's fine, healthy, and choose somebody that you're not physically attracted to. Okay. So because we're going to be spending time with this friend, wishing them well, we don't want our mind to get distracted in other stories. Okay, that's why we don't choose family members also, because the relation you may have complicated layers to the relationship. So what do we do? First 10 minutes, we send this feeling to ourselves, and the next 20 minutes, we send this feeling to our friend. I don't know if any of you noticed it, but as soon as you begin to do this, your mind will go to something or the other, right? So something that happened at work earlier, something that you have to do tomorrow. Maybe you're a cricket fan and you're thinking about the IPL, or you saw a movie, something came up, or maybe you feel like you want to have food, or maybe you hear a sound and your attention goes there. You don't have perfect silence. Something or the other happens and your attention will go away. Now, what's important is your attention is always on the move. Your attention is always looking for new things to go, and all of us have experiences. The first skill that we'll develop is the ability to bring our attention back without forcing it. So we don't want to fight with whatever has taken our attention away. We don't want to chase after it. We just want to simply bring that attention back. And we'll do this using a sequence of steps called the 6 R's. Okay. What are the 6 R's? And we'll do a little bit of guided practice again just to get started. 6 R's, the first R is recognize. Recognize that your attention has gone away. So suddenly you will realize that I sat down to meditate, I sat down to do this practice, and now my attention is on something. I'm thinking about something else. And this will happen very quickly. So the first thing is to recognize what happened, that my attention got caught up in a thought. The second step that we do is release. We let it be. We don't follow after that thought, nor do we fight with it. Okay, just let it be. Third thing that we do is we relax any tension or tightness in our mind and body. So what you'll realize is anytime your attention goes after something, anytime it gets engaged, right, there will be a tension and tightness that develop in your mind. Typically your head, your mind. Sometimes you'll feel it in your body as well. And what is this tension and tightness like? It is as if you're waiting for something to happen for a long time, or you've been really waiting, you've been trying to do something for a long time, you've not been able to do, your mind gets irritated. You're trying to place an order at a restaurant for a long time, nobody's paying attention to you, your mind gets tightened. You're stuck in traffic for a long time, you're getting late for something, your mind gets tightened. And as soon as that is done, you're like, see the green light, you move ahead, or what you're waiting for is done, you'll find a slight expansion in your head, right? Tightness and expansion. And a great example of this is if you have to relieve yourself and you've not been able to do it, when you finally get the opportunity, you will feel that relaxation happen. So the third step, relax, I want you to start familiarizing with. So this is a symptom of what is called craving. Okay. This is what makes you unable to leave something. So if you've ever found yourself completely stuck on a thought, just unable to exit that cycle. So it is that tension and tightness that is holding your attention onto that. Right? Or if you forget, for example, being at a dentist or something's happening that is painful and you keep your mind tight, you find that it hurts more, and if you relax, you actually it hurts less, right? So this tension and tightness, this craving is what holds your attention onto a thought. So instead of fighting with it, what we're doing is we're simply removing that underlying craving that is holding your thought to that, your attention to that thought. So recognize that your attention has gone away, release that thought, let it be, relax the tension and tightness in your mind. By this time, you would have forgotten to smile. So re-smile and return to your object of meditation. So what is the object of meditation? Return to what you were doing earlier. So you were sending that feeling to yourself or you were sending that feeling to your friend. You will come back to that. Okay. And the sixth star. So you've got recognize, release, relax, re-smile, and return. What is the sixth star? Sixth star is repeat. So this is an understanding that just because once you got your attention from a thought doesn't mean it won't come again. So whatever you're more attached to, whatever is more recent, if you're worried about something, those things will come more and more, right? So you had an unpleasant episode with someone, you had an argument with someone, it will come up again and again. So repeat is an understanding that this will happen again. All you need to do is you need to use these steps again. Recognize that your attention has gone away again. Release that thought, relax the tension and tightness in your mind, smile and come back. Okay. So what we are going to do now is we're going to do a very quick session. We'll start with bringing up the happy feeling, bringing up the warm feeling, sending it to ourselves. In a few moments, our mind will go to something else. We'll use the 6 hours and we'll bring our attention back. And after that, we will send that feeling to a friend. Okay. So we'll quickly do this exercise and then I'll tell you a little bit about what we are doing and why we are. Okay. So smile, close your eyes, and we'll begin. Bring up a happy memory, a time you were happy, content, full of joy. Put that feeling in your heart and wish that happiness for yourself. May I be happy. May I be calm. May I be full of joy. May I be full of peace. May I be happy. May I be calm. May I be peaceful. You'll find your attention going to a thought, maybe to my voice. Recognize that your attention is engaged with that. Let it be. Relax any tension and tightness in your mind. Smile and bring your attention back. May I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be full of joy. Again, your mind will wander. Recognize that your attention has wandered. Let it be. Relax any tension and tightness in your mind. Smile and bring your attention back. May I be happy. May I be calm. May I be peaceful. Now bring up your friend in your mind and send them this wish. May you be happy. May you be calm. May you be full of joy. See them smiling as you send them the wish. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be full of joy. Again, your mind will wander away. Recognize that it's wandered away. Let that thought be. Relax, smile, and come back. May you be happy. May you be full of joy. May you be calm. Okay. Gently open your eyes now. Okay. So this is just testing the waters, just getting a sense of what we are doing. Okay. When you sit for your practice tomorrow, so tomorrow onwards, daily, the expectation is that you do two sets of 30 minutes each. 30 minutes may seem like a very long time. Okay. But all you need to do is find a comfortable position so your body is not in pain. Every time your mind goes away, use the 6 hours. Your objective is not to clear the mind. Your objective is not to stop any thoughts from coming. That will happen because the conditions are right for them. Every time your mind goes away, all we have to do is bring attention back using the 6 hours. So this information will be provided to you, the beginning practice. Review it, try it out. Couple of instructions. Just choose one friend and stick with that friend. Okay, so don't keep changing the friend. You may have lots of friends you love, but we'll get to them eventually, not initially, not till I ask you to change that friend. Okay, so you start with one friend, stick with that friend. First 10 minutes, once you bring up that feeling, you send that wish to yourself. Okay, that wish of goodwill. Anytime it dries out, you can bring up the memory again to bring that feeling up. The phrases that you're using, use them in your mind. You don't need to speak them out aloud. And they're not a mantra. They're just supporting that wish that you're sending to yourself. For 10 minutes, we'll do this. Every time our mind wanders, 6 hours and come back. Then, next 20 minutes, we'll send this wish to our friend. Every time the mind wanders, 6 hours and come back. So, why do we use this kind of object of meditation? So, one thing is, I'm sure in the last few minutes, you might have realized it feels good, right? It has a good feeling to it. I can see a lot of smiling faces. And the other thing is this feeling, this is known as metta or loving kindness. This is in direct contrast to the way we feel when we are anxious, stressed out, worried, afraid. So this is in direct contrast. So our ability to identify those states, and this what we use in the practice 6 hours is something you can use anytime in the day. Anytime your mind gets stuck with something, it seems like it is difficult. That tension and tightness is holding your thought, your attention to that particular thought. Okay. When you relax, use the 6 hours, you recognize that your attention is caught up with something. You let that thought be, you relax attention, smile, and you bring it back to a wholesome place. Bring it back to sending that feeling to yourself or to your friend. You'll find that it no longer holds the same kind of influence over you as it did a moment ago. You're able to look at the situation from a little bit of distance, right? You'll find this happening. So play around with the 6 hours, start finding your balance with this, find a good spot, right? Test out what is a good spot for me to sit. What you also do is, other than 2 30-minute sits, you'll do a 15-minute walking meditation, right? So the same thing, you can do this right after your sitting meditation. You can just get up, start walking. Some 20 30 feet is good enough. Just keep walking at a normal pace. Keep your eyes towards the ground and you keep sending that feeling, that wish to your friend. Okay. May you be happy. May you be full of joy. May you be calm. In your mind, just repeat these phrases, send that wish to your friend. Walk for around 15 minutes. Every time your attention goes away, just use the 6 hours to bring your attention back to what you're doing. This acts as a bridge for being mindful, right? Being aware of where our attention is. So every time we use the 6 hours, our mind is also learning that we actually need to pay attention to where our attention is, right? So normally we are always in the middle of a story. We don't know how we got there. So we are learning also to be mindful, to know where our attention is, how we are in, what story are we in currently. So just tomorrow is simple. Just plan your time, figure out when you need to say it, what's a good time for you to sit, good space for you to sit. Try out this practice, see if there are any issues. Saturday onwards, we'll have our check-in so you can ask questions about it, right? And start refining this. Great. So that is what I wanted to share today. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
During one sitting, does it have to be just one happy memory, or can it be one after the other? And because I struggled with not external distractions, but with my own happy memory distractions, they were like, I am the happy one, I'm the happy one. And I'm like, what to do?
Good question, right? So just remember the phrase and the happy memory. They are to bring up the feeling. Okay.
So just
that
one memory, feeling. One sitting.
You can use 1 or 2, 3, 4 memories. That's not a problem. But you don't keep going in the memories. As soon as you use that memory, you bring up that feeling, you wish that for yourself. Okay. So I remember, for example, playing with my dog when he was a puppy. That brings up a warm feeling in my mind and heart, and I wish that for myself. After that, I'm just sending that feeling to myself. I'm not trying to recreate that memory. I'm not trying to go deeper in that story. I'm just sending that feeling to myself. For some people, you may need 2, 3 memories. You may need to play around initially with which memory actually brings up that warm feeling. So that feeling is what is important, sending that feeling to ourselves. Okay. So don't go into the story of the memory too much. Don't think about the memory. Just bring up the feeling that you felt then. And you're wishing yourself, may I always feel like that. May my mind always be full of joy, peace, and calm, like it was at that time. And the same thing you're wishing for your friend. Okay. May you also feel that way. Great. Does anyone else have a question?
Yes, hi. I have a question too. I'm Sonal. Uh, how important is this 10 minutes and 20-minute allocation that you gave? Because we
Excellent question. So I'll tell you why the 10 and 20 minutes. Okay. So it's because we are greedy creatures, basically. Okay. So this practice works best when you're sending the feeling of loving kindness out towards all beings in the world. Okay. We'll get there slowly. But first, if we don't fill up our belly, our mind will say, okay, what about me? Why am I wishing my friend? That's our natural tendency. I'm sure you may be quite altruistic. You may actually feel that way enough for 20 minutes. But normally, what happens is you want to fill your belly up first. And you will find during this retreat, you have an excellent sense of time. You might feel that you have a poor sense of time. Whenever you feel it's like 10 minutes, whenever you feel your belly is full, just move to your friend. You don't, it's not, it doesn't have to be, right to the microsecond. When you feel that, I've sent this feeling enough to myself, now to my friend, just move from that. Over time, over the next few days, you'll start developing a remarkable sense of time.
thank you.
Great. You may have a lot of questions in your mind right now. Don't worry about it. You'll find your balance. We'll discuss more things. Tomorrow, just it's like you have a brand new bicycle. You just want to play around with it, try it out, see what happens. There is no failure in this game, right? So every time you realize that your attention has gone away, it is a victory because you don't do it right now. You don't have the understanding that hey, my attention is actually moving all the time, and being aware of it is something that can be useful. So every time you figure it out, great, it's a victory. Every time you're able to use the 6 hours and come back, that is a victory because you figured out that there is a way to come back from maybe a thought that is really drawing your attention without fighting with it, without forcing yourself to think about something else. You can simply relax the tension, smile, and come back, right? Recognize, release, relax, smile, and come back. So you'll find this extremely empowering. So just play around with these things. We'll talk more about this. We'll talk more about the mind. Over the week, we will unpack exactly how the mind works and what's happening. It is like our mind works like Netflix studios. It is creating a lot of stories all the time. How these stories happen, how do the characters in these form, how do they affect how we feel. So we'll get into the detailed mechanisms of all these things. And what's more, you will actually see this. So so you might see we talk about the guide, right? So I'm a guide because I've traveled this territory. I'm going to tell you where different things are, but you are going to be your own teacher. You're going to see how your mind works, how different things affect your mind, and you're going to teach yourself how your mind works and how you can use this understanding, use the skills that you develop to create happy states of mind for yourself. Okay, great. So again, thanks everyone for bearing with me. I think my laptop overheated or something. I was really struggling to come online. Thanks for being patient, and I really look forward to having a great time with all of you over the next few days. So what we'll do, we'll just start from today. We do something called sharing merit at the end of uh, every session. We'll be doing it at the end of every evening talk, and the idea here is just whatever it's creating a habit of generosity, right? Whatever good we may have accrued, learning that we may have accrued from this session, from starting to do the practice, we want everybody to gain from that. Okay, we want everybody to share the benefits. So I'll just share some verses on the screen. I'll read it out. We've found in the past that having multiple people speaking together on Zoom is very disturbing and discordant. So we won't do that. I would like you to just read along with me. Okay, with your mics on mute. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May enlightened beings of mighty power share in this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you again tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Good night.
Thank you.